Alistair Campbell.
Simon.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you back.
Absolutely.
You've not been into walking football for a while until the last week or so it's great to see.
This is probably my third week back.
Right. Yeah, I hardly noticed. I thought you were walking the dog the last time I saw you on the park. I thought you were just passing by.
Today, can I just point out, as I made the point earlier on, that ball play centre half, if I get the other team not to score a goal, it's like winning a
That's
hat-trick.
success, is it?
So the opposition today played for an hour. They never scored against us.
Well, the odds were weighted in your favour today because you had me in the opposition team and Chris in the opposition team. So there was
I can handle Chris.
Oh, good goal. It's a hat-trick! It's a hat-trick! Very little chance of us ever getting a goal, that's for sure. What did you think when you first heard about walking football? How did you hear about it? How did you come here?
Can't actually remember. I knew you were going to ask me this. I think my first knowledge of walking football was the Barclays Bank ad, where these guys walking football. It looked like Subbuteo. Seriously, it's like, how can you play that? I'm way past that. Because I'd actually played right the way through since I was like 18. I've never stopped playing since I was 18.
Right.
Because I went, I'm a posh boy.
You hear the whistle?
As you can tell by the accent, I'm a posh boy from the West End. Right?
Okay,
So I went
West End of Glasgow.
I went to Hillhead High School. We played rugby.
Right.
So my first venture onto a football pitch was with the Edinburgh Art College team. So it's a football pitch. And
you always been a centre half?
Always been a centre half. I'm a ball winning centre half.
Right.
What I need in those days I'm an Aberdeen supporter, as we'll talk about in a minute. So it's McLean and Miller. Absolutely. It was McLean and Miller. Right, so McLean's the ball winner, Miller just moved him around. I think in my team we eventually morphed into playing in the Paisley Amateur League. We were Denison Villa.
Right.
I were actually quite good. Played Sunday afternoon, Denison Villa. I had a guy called Bobby Davidson who is coming to play. I've got him recruited.
Right.
So Bobby's was my sweeper. So Bobby'd say, Ali, go left, right, da 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 da. I had two guys called the Carberry brothers who are quite well known in amateur football. They played for Gifford and also St Mungo's in Scottish Amateur 1 on the Saturday. So we had the Carberry brothers and a guy called John Gaffney. So all I had to do was basically win the ball, stop the opposition, bump them off, and Ali, Bobby said, pass it left, right. So I gave the ball to the Carberry brothers. And they then took
what was
over.
his team? Who was the team?
It was called Denison Villa.
Right.
But we won the
Amateur
Paisley Scottish the Paisley District Amateur League on a Sunday. It's quite good.
Right.
And what actually you got was some really good standard, because you get guys that played on Saturday Amateur 1 coming in playing as ringers.
On Sunday.
So the Carberry brothers were ringers because they weren't supposed to sign for two teams.
But you could sign for a Saturday team and a Sunday team.
Could you? I couldn't do that.
Aye. You just couldn't sign for two Saturday teams.
We had a Rangers goalkeeper one day. He was a definite
Hope he's better than the goalkeeper the other night anyway on Saturday.
Oh God, So so I've then.
So wait a minute, you're from the West End of Glasgow.
Kelvindale.
You played for Paisley and Paisley League.
Yep.
And yet you're an Aberdeen fan.
Correct.
What happened?
Well, what happened was that
bad upbringing.
my granddad James Muir, was born in North Kelvinside, not Maryhill, but North Kelvinside. No. And he played for Maryhill Juniors in the sort of 1905, 1906. And we used to play up at Maryhill Sports Centre. It was a Tuesday session.
Walking football, yes.
Really good session, really fast.
Walking football.
Well, it was fast. It was like run. We all just ran.
5 or 6.
And I came out there one day and I looked to my left and it said anniversary of Maryhill Juniors Football Club exhibition. Oh, that's interesting. All the stuff in the house. So I went in and looked at the stuff and I said to him, look, I've got a whole pile of stuff. I've got my granddad's medals, I've got this junior cap, I've got this,
Because he played for Maryhill.
So that team, what they said to me, there was the boy in the community.
Still waiting for the Aberdeen connection here. We've got as far north as Maryhill.
Just give me a minute.
Still got a bit to go.
Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt my flow. Right, that Maryhill team is still renowned in Maryhill because they won the league, they won the Scottish Cup. and 3 of that team signed for Aberdeen.
Okay.
In 1907, including my granddad,
Right.
aged 25, as you did in those days.
Right.
And here's a piece of football trivia for you. His best mate in Aberdeen was a guy called Donald Coleman. And if you Wikipedia Donald Coleman was a right back for Aberdeen, was Aberdeen's first capped internationalist. He then went to manage Motherwell. He then came back to manage Aberdeen. And what Donald Coleman did was he invented the modern dugout, because he wanted to see the this is true, it's all on Wikipedia.
Because of the weather in Aberdeen, probably.
No, he just wanted to see the ball players, so he got them to dig out a pit, basically with a bench, so he could get down at pitch level to see them playing it. And the story is that Everton came up to play a friendly, and the Everton team saw that, so that's a bloody good idea.
We want one of them.
So one of them, so that's the modern dugout, that's true. And also, and Jimmy and other guys, when Rangers fans will laugh, but Donald Coleman was also credited with inventing tiki-taki Barcelona type football.
Right.
Because he wanted his players to pass the ball and play tiki-taki football.
Have you heard of the professors? You ever heard of that? This is going to be very topical in the next year or so, because there's a whole campaign just now to have parts of the south side of Glasgow around Hampden Park made into a significant area of a World Heritage Site.
Right.
Because of football, because we invented it. Right, believe it or not.
Allegedly.
And well, there's lots and lots of stories there, and there's lots of, and we're probably going to do a few episodes about it as the time comes, because next year the campaign is going to launch to have the World Heritage Site. But the professors were Scottish players, Queen's Park basically at that time, and at that time football down south and all over was just kick and rush. You got the ball and you ran as far as you could with it, a bit like Chris Butt does now. You just get the ball, step down and go. And you run it, and then you run out of space, somebody takes it off you and he runs and goes. Well, the Scottish players started passing the ball. They started this game, you're calling it tiki-taki. And that they became known as the professors, and they were in great demand down south to go and play, which is why Preston North End and all these teams were full of Scottish players. They would get them a job. If their trade was a baker,
an engineer,
they would take them down, get them a job, and let them play for them, because they could pass the ball and teach those skills to the guys down there. But there's a whole episode. We're going to Jim Purvis, who's next door with Football Memories. He's part of that campaign to get a World Heritage Site created in Glasgow.
Cool.
So it's interesting what you're saying about the first players to start doing that, to start pass the ball between. It's something I'm trying to bring into walking football, but I don't think it will catch on really.
Best luck.
So when was that you started? You mentioned Mary Hill. Did you play at Glasgow Green? That was
No, we played all over Glasgow, but the Pays Amateur League was in.
No, I'm talking about walking football.
Oh, walking football. Sorry. Right, we just briefly.
Because I know you could talk all day about that. Amateur team of yours.
I do talk, but once I think I stopped. I broke my leg when I was 35, and that was the end of my footballing career. And then I started playing 5s and 7-a-sides right through to maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where we were playing with a mixed team. It's like the Suns were now playing, and it was just like, it was just too much. But on the sort of mental health side, which is what we're here to do, I used to drag myself out on a Monday night to Cambuslang to play, because once you signed up, you could not turn up. You can't play 5-a-sides with 9 people. You know what I mean? So I had to go. And if you ever want to spot the depressed 5-a-side player, it's the guy in the corner and doesn't want the ball.
Right.
don't pass me the ball. But I forced myself, and I knew it did me a bit of good. But then it just sort of drifted away. And what I do remember is
so that's before walking football.
Yeah, I went up to Mary Hill. I don't know what prompted me, but I went up to Mary Hill to look at a walking football session, and I decided to turn up at 2:15. This was maybe 2.5 years ago, something like that. And there was like just 2 guys, and they were like in their 40s or 50s, and they were like huge.
Yeah.
And they were just passing the ball to each other, and I thought, that's not for me. That's not for me. And then again, for one reason I got back into it. I turned up at Belarus. This is June 2020. I turned up at Belarus on a Friday morning, and there was about 40 or 50 people there.
Right.
A bit like it was the other week, and it was split up into sessions. And I started playing, really enjoyed it.
I think it was the year before. I'm saying that because of lockdown. We've all done this. We've lost a couple of years because of lockdown. Honestly, 20 and 21 were a write-off as far as the gyms were concerned. So it's probably 19 or 18.
Right.
2018.
So at the end of the game, it was good. They got everybody in a circle, and I think I think Connor was there, I can't actually remember.
With me and Connor, probably.
And he said, right, we're playing the Scottish Cup tomorrow, does anybody want to play? And there were a couple of players short the Scottish
You're going
Cup.
back 4 or 5 years here, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're
I'm
in.
up for that. So, following Saturday morning, I pitched up at Glasgow Green, and there was 4 teams put in. And I was in the sort of, I don't know what you want to call it. Not the
That's how hard it is to get to play for Glasgow. You just put your hand up. So you get an Apollo team for, you've got to pay £2.
I think it was in the loan test. It was in the loan test. I think if that's the right expression to use. I was quite happy. And then one of the coaches came around and says, "Look, we need somebody for the B team."
Right. You got that as well.
So we walked round to the cages.
That's Jim Russell's team. That's Jim Russell's
walked
team.
down to the cages. I think Matt was there. Matt Ramsey was there.
C team. Yeah.
And there was, I'll tell you who was there. Ricky was there. Big Stuart was the goalkeeper. Guy.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Aye.
Who clearly didn't understand the no walking.
No.
Rule
He still
whatsoever.
doesn't. He still doesn't.
Christ almighty, you know.
The touches escape him. As
Boy
well.
called Stephen up front with a baseball cap on because he's got problems with his hair. He's got bald and he gets sunburn, so he plays with a baseball cap on. And I can't remember who else. We're all introduced ourselves outside before
the tournament.
before we walked onto the pitch, and then we're trying to work out who played where. And in the round robin, we played Gretna and somebody else, and we played a team that had won it the year before. And we played also a team.
Or something.
No, it wasn't the Hearts. And we played the team that actually won it, who were from Kirkcaldy. They won it that year.
Okay.
And we lost the first game 2-1. We won our second game 3-1. And we lost the game against Kirkcaldy 1-0. A penalty. Sorry, edit that out. Gave away but I was buzzing that night because really enjoyed it. And I remember seeing Ricky the following week.
The competitive
and
stuff.
I said to Ricky, we missed a trick because we could have got through that group if we just known our positions.
We're still missing a trick to this day. We'll try.
So I was hooked. That was it. So I was hooked.
Alistair, you're from the West End. Would you go to school in the West End? You say Hillhead?
Hillhead High School.
Okay.
Fee paying.
Not that snobby, but there you go. I went to Hindland, just up the road.
Okay.
What did you do for a living then?
Well, I tended to have careers rather than jobs.
Okay.
So I was one of the golden generations, the baby boomers. So in the sort of 70s or so, when you
what age are you now, Alistair?
I'm 65 in March.
Okay.
So I went to university in 1975. In those days, you just chose a degree you wanted to do.
To study.
You didn't worry about a job because the job would take care of itself, the pension would take care of itself. So I did fine art at Edinburgh, a double degree.
Okay.
So in the morning I went to university to study the history of art, and in the afternoon I went to Edinburgh College of Art to do a diploma in art, a DA. So it was full on. I hated my painting teacher with an intensity. She didn't like me and I didn't like her. And there was a Canadian guy called Mike who was the sculpture tutor. So at the end of the first year to choose painting or sculpture, and I decided to go sculpture, which was the sort of worst decision I could make. So I've absolutely no interest in sculpture whatsoever. I've got no talent, and I'm a draftsman. I'm a brilliant draftsman. I draw. Yeah. My granddad Jimmy Muir, the footballer, apparently his trick was to draw horses' heads. Right. So there's my sister went to art school as well. So there's a sort of I don't know if there's a football gene. I think there is. Allegedly, there's definitely a sort of artistic-y, and there's a music gene as well. Cause my sister was a professional musician, all this shit. So at the end of the second year, I failed my sculpture assessment. Right. Just and I was so pissed off with it. I said to my tutor, I just want out of here. So I just changed courses, did an ordinary degree in 3 years. Worked in art galleries for a couple of years, got bored to death, and then I saw an advert for Abbey Life Insurance salesman. So commission only in those days, right? Yeah. So I used to, my Friday night was basically walking around Rockhill, door knocking, serious to God, door knocking, selling Abbey Life Insurance.
In Rockhill?
In Rockhill.
And you not run round the doors in Rockhill?
No, what my boss said to me was, he says, knock on the door and take a step back in case the guy comes out with a lemonade bottle to hit you, you know. And then I morphed into various sales job. I ended up with C.R. Smith. Didn't last long because the hours were just outrageously.
It's all calls at night, isn't it?
It's all calls at night, and you have to wait until the last salesman comes in. You then almost like sing the company song. You go to bed. You get home at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Folk don't believe that. Folk that have never had any dealings with sales don't believe it. The Kirby song and all that.
The Kirby Hoover.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
So I used to come home and drink like 2 cups of Ovaltine to try and get myself to sleep.
Yeah.
Probably got to sleep about 5 o'clock in the morning, woke up at 2 o'clock, got some food, back into the office at 3 o'clock,
Yeah.
repeat.
And you've got a family at this point as
I've
well?
got a young boy who's just a year.
Okay. So folk don't realise the toll that takes on people, and
That's
commission
fine.
only,
It's
yeah,
fine.
but it's
That's
constant.
okay.
It's constant. Yeah.
So eventually I got a job with Carla Gas, which was brilliant. It was the company car, bonuses,
Excellent.
lunch account.
Everybody needs their gas as well. It's not as if you've got to sell
exactly,
it.
and the car was free of charge. So that time I was now married, so that was a good period.
Yeah.
And
Being married was a good period.
yes,
I found the opposite.
I
to
was
be
once
true.
I was once happily married. Nancy, still love you, Nancy, but no.
This is rare footage we're getting here. Somebody being happily married.
Carla Gas wouldn't basically promote me, so I just
Blew them
left, right, just left. And I took a year out and I went back to Strathclyde. This is 91 to do an MSc.
Back to uni.
Back to uni to get some qualifications. So I'm early 30s now because I thought I'm going to end up as a sales manager with a 3-litre Cavalier at 40. I'm not really interested in that. So I did a thing called information management, which is long gone.
Right.
Long gone. But I was watching the lecturers lecture me, just basically reading notes out of a book and you write it down. They used to have these, you know, the overhead projector.
I could do that, yeah.
And the roll
Yes.
of the paper and they'd write on it.
Remember it well.
I could do that. So I did that. I got a job at Napier for a year and then I got into Paisley University, into the computer science department to become the management guy. So
Right.
my second career was in academia.
Right.
Then, wanting more money, because I'm an ambitious guy, I started setting up, doing homers and doing Excel training. And then the web appeared in 1995.
Okay.
I was out in Palo Alto on a research mission. I persuaded Scottish Enterprise to pay me out to Palo Alto and Virginia to do research on the web. I went out the week that Netscape launched. It was the biggest IPO at the time. It was like right in at the beginning. So my first web company was called Campbell McCall and Associates, because Eddie was a brilliant developer. Eventually never came in, so I just ran the company. That then morphed into a company called Parallel 56, which I set up in 2000.
Okay.
And by 2002, we were the dog's bollocks. We were the biggest in Scotland.
I'll tell you a wee story about the start of the internet. It must have been mid-90s. And I met this guy through a job that I was doing. I was in the police at the time. And I had met him down south. And he was from Kirkintilloch, right? And he said, come for a pint to Kirky, there's something I want to talk to you about, a business proposition, right? So I met him in Kirky, quite near a garage, I can't remember the exact place. And he said, you need to come to the house to see this. And I didn't know him that well, right? So I was starting to get a wee bit suspicious that he was taking me to his house. But I went, and he took me into this darkened room. It's okay, it's a story I can tell. But he took me into this dark room, and there was just a computer set up. And immediately to me, that was what's going on, because I wasn't into it at all. And he said, Simon, this is a thing called the internet. I'm going to show you.
How do you spell that?
And he went www. And he tried to explain to me, right, what the internet was and how this was going to be a thing. And I'm thinking, how do I get out of this fucking room with this weird guy before anything happens to me, that I might lose my virginity or something. So I basically got out as quick as I could and thought no more about it, and didn't tell anybody in case they thought I'd went there voluntarily, you know. And that was the start of the internet. That guy probably lives in Hawaii now or something, you know, with girls straight over him.
In the TV sense, this segues now into the mental health, because this is when mental health issues started to appear. Because by 2004, we were 2 million turnover. It was me, a guy called Gordon Lee and Zach Watt, 3 directors.
Okay.
Right, Gordon allegedly was a marketing guy. Zach ran the technology team and I ran the business. I was MD.
Okay.
I was working 8-hour weeks, doing all this, doing the spinning plates. Went on a holiday and just like classic, you know, you run flat out. You go on holiday, it's like hitting a brick wall.
Yeah.
And I stayed in bed for 2 weeks. And I came, and Gregor says to me, Dad, Gregor was 10 maybe.
Your son?
Second son. Saying, Dad, come in the swimming pool. Dad, go and play this. And I said, Gregor, no, I just lay under a tree for 2 weeks.
And was this your first experience of poor mental health?
I didn't know, nobody had any idea what it was. It was just, in those days, it was just put down as stress.
You're a successful businessman.
You look pretty stressed.
Got your family. Yeah.
You look pretty stressed, Alistair. You don't look so good.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it was, but the warning signs were there, and my body basically was giving me all these warning signals for months.
What were the warning signals then?
Disturbed sleep patterns.
Mm-hmm.
My bipolar, which wasn't diagnosed, was kicking in, so I'd happily go and do an all-nighter in the office.
Right.
I wouldn't sleep, I'd just be buzzing away.
Explain the bipolar part to me then, because I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure.
Well, it's the current name for manic depressive.
Okay.
So
what's the symptoms? How does it manifest?
Well, bipolar to me, I'm about to go on my rant against Glasgow Psychiatric Services, but I won't. But
No.
They basically, I see bipolar is like the autism is a spectrum, ranging from deep depression where you commit suicide,
right,
through to psychosis where you think you're God,
hyper,
or no more than hyper. You think you can fly.
Okay.
You think you see things. I've been there. I've actually been psychotic. It's not a great place to be. It's dangerous.
Yes. And
that's why I need medication to put a lid on my bipolar.
So mood swings is a big part of it.
Huge mood swings. Now I've got a form.
And do those mood swing on a weekly basis?
No,
on a daily basis?
There's 4 types of bipolar, and the problem with Glasgow is they call it mixed affective bipolar disorder, which means they just put all the types of bipolar into a box and they deal with it one. Mine is called hypomania.
Okay.
And hypo means below, Greek, below mania.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a classic hypomanic is somebody who talks a lot, high energy, loves being the centre of attention, can be a little bit in your face sometimes, so too much alcohol.
On YouTube all the time, making programmes for YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah. Thinking he's Virgil van Dijk of the Walking Football Team. That's his classic bipolar territory. So it was not diagnosed and had no control. But I now understand. I've kept up a thing called a mood diary.
Right.
Since 2010. So every day and today I write down. It's a spreadsheet, and I basically just put down a score and a colour.
Okay.
And the important thing is when things change.
Is that something you've devised, or is that part of a strategy?
It's cognitive behaviour therapy.
Right.
Which I didn't enjoy doing, but the thing was the
it's
mood diary.
Some tools.
It's tools, but the mood diary is absolutely fundamental because I've just gone through a major change, as you know, in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So at the moment I'm writing down notes, and my sleeping's still not right at the moment because I've come out, because basically 6 weeks ago I'd have been in bed.
Right.
And my life was basically getting up at 5 o'clock at night to wash the dishes, make the bed. My wife would leave a sandwich out for lunch. I would just fling it in the bin so she didn't see it because I wasn't hungry.
Right.
And what time are you up today? I'll go up at 1 o'clock. So my life was basically, I spent 16 hours a day in bed for 7 months.
Okay.
So I've gone through a major change. So at the moment I'm in very much a recovery phase.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just got to watch what I'm doing at the moment.
It's about self-awareness, isn't it? Because nobody else is watching.
Not get carried away. I've got to watch the alcohol. I'm not a heavy drinker, but I've just got to not open the second bottle of wine, type of thing.
Just got to manage everything, really. And have you got a support network in place now?
I've got my friends are a very good support network.
Right.
Psychiatric services are. Let's not go there.
No. Alistair, you said that this started around the early 2000s.
2004 it started.
Right, that's 18 years, 17, 18 years. That's a long, long time.
Yes.
And is it only over that period of time that you've learned yourself how to manage?
I've taught myself.
Right.
And my biggest problem is that I've had fights with Glasgow about the fact that I'm hypomanic. I'm naturally. And okay. You're talking too fast, you're doing this, you're doing that. I said, but this is me naturally.
Yes.
This is my natural mood state. No, they'd be sitting here saying, you're elevated. And I'm not, I'm just.
Well, they've got their own jargon. Let's look at it let's imagine for a minute that there's somebody watching this.
Right.
Who maybe suspects that they might be on that spectrum that you're talking about, for want of a better word.
Spectrum, it's a spectrum.
Or worse still, is feeling, has some of the feelings that you're talking about.
Well, I'll just tell you
where would you signpost somebody? First and foremost, the obvious ones are GP, their family.
The best resources is Mind is really good.
MIND.
MIND.
Mm-hmm.
Their fact sheets are amazing. Now they've got a really good fact sheet on bipolar, on hypomania. It's 4-page PDF. and it's got a page that basically says to the family and carers, this is how you should treat somebody with hypomania. And if you start to suspect they're getting too high, or they're starting to drink too much, this is what you should do. Now, I'll just go on record here. My family have refused to read that because they know all about mental health. They don't need to read it. Right. So I've still got a slightly dysfunctional family where I'm basically taking this all on myself, and I'm not really getting the support at home. And when my mood lifted 2 weeks ago, it was a Friday night, and you know, Would I Lie to You on BBC?
Yes, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Well, I watched Would I Lie to You. It was really good that night. They had Suggs on, Bob Mortimer, who's absolutely brilliant. I can't remember who else. And I was laughing. I said to Nancy,
Lee Mack, isn't it?
Aye. I said to Nancy, that's the first time I've laughed in 7 months.
Right.
Okay. And then the following day, Saturday, we went through to Edinburgh. Nancy gets her, she's from Linlithgow.
It's your wife?
My wife, and she gets her hair cut in Edinburgh. She had a couple of, seen this guy for 40 odd years. So driving back through, and it was like 4 o'clock, and we got to Hart Hill, and I said to her, do you realise this time last week I was just getting out of bed?
Right.
Because she was at home and she was going absolutely crazy about me lying in bed at 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Whereas what I really needed was her to put her arms around me and say, look, don't worry about it, and do you want a cup of tea? And whereas I got the reverse, she's so, you know, I'm not it's difficult, because people just don't get it, you know, difficult.
And that's what we're trying to do here, is to help people to get it a wee
help definitely is mind. The fact that you're setting up this group here, I think
the Memories Scotland.
I'm an accredited walking football Alzheimer's guy. I did the course.
Oh right, brilliant. Yeah,
I've done that.
Well, we have a session now on a
Well,
Thursday morning.
I'm an accredited trainer.
Brilliant.
Also, it's good. Let me think. Mine's definitely good. Or SAMH, SAMH, Scottish Association of Mental Health. They do. I'm a Twitter guy, so they tweet out all the time. They give links to things. So subscribing to the SAMH and Mind on newsletters and Twitter would be good. And they obviously advertise groups and forums and things like that.
The walking football that you're now back with us the last 2 or 3 weeks, do you think the physical exercise, not necessarily walking football, just getting out for a walk or a swim or any of that stuff help at all?
I'm a sprinter. I was a sprinter at school. As you can tell on the pitch, I've still got the...
Oh, I can see that.
Still got the speed.
Yeah.
Still got the speed. And
so what about the physical exercise?
I just don't like walking. I just hate walking. But what I do know is I'm now, I get the endorphins, because I tend to push. One of the guys said to me today, you're up and down that pitch the whole time today. And I was, because I do push myself physically. Right. And I get... And
that helps?
Oh God, aye.
And afterwards you get a benefit.
I get the wee buzz. I get my endorphins. Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at, is I think that there's a thing that we talk about in walking football now called social prescribing. And I know that we could go on about medication all day for the problems that you've had, but there's a thing about exercise that can help with that. Just the socialisation, the mixing with the other lads, the team effort, all of that going on.
The only thing I would say is that when you're in such a low space where you're lying in bed or you're looking for a bridge to jump off, then the last thing you want to do is play football.
Would you answer your phone?
No.
No?
If I'm in that really bad space.
Let's say that I've got a friend just now who I think, I've not seen him for a month or so. He's not been at the football, he's not answering his phone.
That's not good, I'd phone him.
Yeah?
Aye. Frank phoned me. Frank McCann.
Yeah.
Frank phoned me to find out why I wasn't playing. I told him.
Did he know?
He didn't know about it, but he might, as you say, suspected.
Yes.
But Frank phoned me up and said, I'm really sorry.
A wee text message or anything at all, just to break through.
And I phoned him back to find out what because I knew all the sessions had changed. So Frank was a support.
Yep, and you emailed me as well after Frank. Yeah. So the message I'm trying to get across is keep in touch with everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. I think we all know each other. And there was days, I mean, you picked it up. I was playing for the Glasgow team, and I was just not in a great space that day. But I had to go out, you know, because I was in the team, and I said to you, look, can I just be sub today? And it was code for me basically saying, I think you sussed out that I wasn't. And when I was brought on,
I set you up a sitter as well. Do you remember to score the winner, and you missed it?
No,
That's why I subbed you, not because of anything to do with your mental health.
That's why I was never, you know, that's why I never quite made the football grade. I cannot shoot. You know?
Alistair, we'll speak to you again, I suspect.
Oh, right, okay.
As long as you don't wear that top, because we can't have that kind of
No,
stuff
I've
going on.
got a wardrobe full of Aberdeen tops.
It's actually very refreshing to get somebody on that's not a Rangers or a Celtic man. And we've even had guys on kidding on their Queen's Park supporters because they don't want to pin their mast, their flag to any mast. But an Aberdeen fan, that's a first.
Right, good.
Yep.
Right, I've enjoyed that.
Alistair, fantastic. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you.